Okay, welcome to a Modular podcast interview with Phil from Law & Order Records, putting together a huge Modular compilation. We'll go quickly around the three of us just before we get into Phil and the interview. How's it going, Greg?
Good, Ben. Just got the qubit chance. I'll talk about it. I know this isn't a podcast for it. I'll talk about it more in our next one. But yeah,
enjoy.
That one's a beast.
Yeah, nice.
I'll post some stuff on my Instagram soon with it. But yeah, really enjoying that module.
Good.
Yeah, cool. And Matthew, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. I've just been working on some sounds on I'm going to be doing with Richard Quirk on a bug brand only sort of piece. So I've just been kind of just in the bug brand zone at the moment.
Yeah, very nice. And Phil, straight onto the topic. How's it going?
All good, all good. Worried. No, it's all good.
So I guess the first thing should be really, who are you, for those that don't know? This project's by Law & Order Records that you've ran previously and had a bit of a break. I guess should start there. What started the label? What was Law & Order before getting to the new Modularism compilation?
All right, I'm going to give you a quick potted history. I'm going to try and cram it all into about 2 minutes.
Okay.
I used to be a British telecom engineer, and I was fascinated by music. There's a lot of my friends in the music industry, so I started getting involved. And the long and short of it all is, you know, the old MIDI studio. I went round to visit a friend of mine once, and he had this amazing studio, and he was pressing a keyboard over here, and he said, "Oh, I'm playing that module over there." And then he goes and he changed the MIDI number, and then he says, "No, I'm playing that one over there." And I remember sitting there thinking, oh my God, this is like my dream, yeah? So before I left his place, I ended up buying half his kit off of him, you know, the stuff he didn't really want. And so that was my kind of entry into music. Then I started pottering and doing a load of kind of crazy breakbeat, sort of mad, indisciplined. I was never particularly interested in kind of fixed genres like, you know, house or dance or hip hop. Or I just like the idea of sort of messing around with stuff. So after a period of messing around with stuff, I submitted a track to Rising High Records, and I don't know if anyone here knows anything about Rising High, but they were a big techno label run by a chap called Casper Pound. He thought the stuff I sent him was interesting. It was trip-hop-ish, sort of, but it was a bit more mayhemic than that. But he called me to come down and have a word with him, when he basically told me, "Yeah, Phil, I love your stuff. It's all really quite weird. Don't know what to do with it. We're a techno label. We even do a bit of trip-hop. We do a bit of drum and bass." They had people like Luke Vibert, Wagon Christ, if anyone knows who that is, on the label. But then he asked me would I be his in-house engineer. So I went down and I became his in-house engineer for a while, down at Rising High. And it was during that time that Rising High hit some really bad times, and they were look as though they were going to go out of business. I'm going to keep this really short now. And I found myself in the studio with a lot of quite big name type artists. There was Square Pusher and, you know, Wagon Christ. There was Air Liquid. There was a lot. And I thought to myself, come on, Phil, be more opportunistic than this. And so I put the feelers out. I said, "Hey guys, if I was to start my own thing, could I get a track off of you?" And they all said, yeah, I'll give you a track, Phil, I'll give you a track. But when I actually finally decided I was going to do it, and I went round all these names, I said, "Can I have a track, please?" They were all too busy. And it's not surprising. I mean, they were in Japan, they were on tour. I wasn't surprised. And so I said to them, "Look, I tell you what, the track I want from you, you've already got it. It's that track that you did that was so bizarre and it was so weird, it wouldn't fit on any album that you've ever done. You know, it was too obscure, and you've got it on a tape, that tape somewhere stuck on a shelf. That's the track I want." And in fact, the first person I asked was Luke, and Luke said, "Yeah, I've got a track like that." And he pulled this one down. It was called Snapping Fuss, as it goes. It was a big track. And he goes, oh, you can have that one. So I went round, I saw Witchman, I saw T-Power and all these others, and I said, same story. And they all gave me this really obscure track that they had put away on the shelf. And then I came up with this album entitled Avant-Gardism Drum and Bass. And I released it in association with Rising High, probably not a clever idea, given all the debt they were in. But I think we sold upward of 30,000 albums, perhaps more, of Avant-Gardism Volume 1. And Law and Order started. And that was, yeah.
So when was that? Roughly?
Going back to, oh God, is it 92?
No, I was going to say earlier than I thought.
It might have been earlier than that. I don't know. I'm going senile. Hey Ben, don't ask me for detail. I can't even remember my name.
So how long did Law and Order run? You know, just to sort of take us from its origins up to sort of modular stuff. What sort of ran it up to the bit of a break you've had?
Right, okay. So Law and Order, we did Avant-Gardism Volume 1, Avant-Gardism Volume 2. Then I got involved with people like Talvin Singh and some others, and we did the East-Westicism collection. And I did another one called Minimalism, which was another 24-tracker, all very experimental electronic stuff, featuring anyone from Aphex Twin to Talvin Singh. You know, it was quite a wide range of people on the project. And then I realized, I think it was one day, I just did an interview with someone on the phone, and we were talking about all the artists and all the different projects. And then, you know what? It struck me because there wasn't a single woman, not one. I didn't have one female artist. And when you think that most of my projects were 24-track CDs or vinyl, but not a single female artist. And I scratched my head and I thought, I wonder, aren't there any female experimental electronic artists out there? So I started asking around, and someone gave me a name. And then they gave me a name. And you asked about Laurie. You asked me about Laurie Spiegel earlier. And Laurie was one of the names that came up. And I remember sort of sending an email off to Laurie sort of 12 odd years ago. And she agreed to to give me a track for the album. And she recommended some people as well. And so we had quite a lot of quite notable names on there. And yeah, so we did Female Species Volume 1. This is going back over 10 years. Then we did Female Species Volume 2. And then I realized that from selling 30,000 albums or something like this, then we sold 12, then we sold 7, then we sold 5, then we sold 2, then we sold 1. And we struggled. I was struggling to sell 1,000 units. And I mean, I think it was about that time when this is going back now, 14 years. Oh God, did you see what I just did there? I've just gone back 14 years. That's how long I've been out of the industry. So yeah, those other things must have been way before. I can't even remember. Anyway, I decided it wasn't working. I couldn't make a living from this. So I went off and became a school teacher. Here he is.
That sort of brings me to present day. And we met very briefly. Actually speak much at the event, I don't think, because I was sort of running around with the live performances and things and helping Ross. But it was last year in November at Ross Lamon's Bells and Whistles, Crackles and Pops event, where I guess Modular caught some excitement, caught your ear again. Is it right that someone else sort of urged you to come, or said you've got to come?
Yeah, yeah. I've got a friend who he features on Law and Order on a couple of the projects. It's Ed Bovaflux, you know, aka Bovaflux. And Ed always told me. I mean, he posted a lot of stuff about Modular. I didn't kind of know what it was really. I mean, I'd seen a Modular synth, you know, a big old Moog thing, you know, but I didn't know what they were. I'd never seen Eurorack. I'd never had a play with one. And Ed kind of said, I'm going to Bells and Whistles. Do you fancy coming up? And I thought, I'll come and have a look. And the rest, as you say, is history. Obviously, I've bumped into people like yourselves and Richard Quirk and others there. And then I had another one of my little eureka moments, you know, a bit like the female of the species thing when I realised I didn't have any women on the label. And I thought, ooh, Modular. And I don't know if you've worked out that a lot of the projects I've done have been highly themed projects, you know, sort of, you don't get more highly themed than a modular album. So I think what I did then, Richard, Ben, you probably could bear me out on this. You were probably one of the people that I tapped on the shoulder and said, Ben, I've just had an idea for an album. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, it gets much chance to see one of those that being involved, and Matthew probably feels the same, and Greg, you end up, you saw the event's over before you realise. And then I message people that at the time I was speaking to regularly, and this always happens at all the events. And you sort of like, you start asking questions that you've already spoke about, or the usual, oh, wish we'd have had more chance to chat, you know, catch you on the phone next week, or so. Yeah, I don't think we spoke much. I think you caught me, maybe Phil, Blue Wolf 7, and I remember speaking to you with Richard Quirk as well.
Yeah, I spoke with Robin, with Scanner.
Yeah, Scanner, yeah.
And Eden Gray, Chelsea, she was there, and I had a really long chat with her, and I think, you know, it was a combination of talking to all of you guys, because it was just another sort of like crazy moment. I just thought, what if? And so I ran around the room saying, hey guys, if I was to do this, would you be interested in doing a track? And it was really, really good. I mean, I just felt that the people that I met at this modular meet were it was so friendly. I mean, everyone was keen, everyone was really enthusiastic about what they were doing. And I just thought, wow. And then I saw the flashing lights and I saw the patch leads, and I thought, oh, and there you go.
Yeah, it's fair enough. So at this point, we should bring the projects up. I'll pull it up on screen. So it's Modularism. It's on Pledge Music, as it stands. And it's turned into this, well, from that excitement, I guess, of the event, into this sort of huge box set release, physical and digital as well. How did it grow so big, I guess? I mean, with this list of names there, if people manage to see this on screen while they're watching, was it getting home and firing emails out after that, or?
It was. I mean, right, okay. What did I do? Well, clearly, I left the event, I came home, and I thought, well, who does it? And the best way, I suppose, to find out was I think I went to YouTube first, and I typed in modular music or whatever, and just looked at what came back. And then I spent the next fortnight, perhaps a month, just listening, and every time, and then of course I joined a few of the Facebook groups and the forums, and I just looked at who was posting music, and basically just started to contact. And surely I should mention Robin Scanner put me in touch with a few people. I spoke to Chelsea, and she put me in. And there was another event that I attended soon after Bells and Whistles, which was the CV Freaks.
Yeah, they're even.
Yeah, and another whole bunch of contacts I made there, and I basically went around the room and did my usual, guys, would you be interested? It was interesting to sit here at night, and often 1 o'clock in the morning, listening to music from artists from Brazil, Croatia, Germany, France, and then thinking, right, I think I'll send them an email. And so I would just send an email off and say, hi, this is Phil from Law and Order. I'm thinking of doing this project. What do you reckon? And of course, I got carried away, as you noticed, with the number of tracks that I went for. But I thought, if we're going to do it, and I don't know if it's the first, because obviously, whilst I've been doing my research, I've come across a lot of solo albums. There's been solo albums by a lot of the artists. There's a lot of singles that are out there, EPs are out there. There's certainly a lot of modular music online. But what I haven't seen is that sort of like really, is this project. I just haven't seen that. And I thought to myself, well, okay, if it's worth doing, and this is possibly the first of its type, or in terms of scale, you know, the number of tracks and how, I mean, it's quite diverse, isn't it? I think I've traveled the globe in a virtual way.
Style-wise and people, I mean, let me pull that list back up again. We've got, it's nice to see, especially you saying the female of the species release. Yeah. We've got Bana Haffar, who we'll have seen doing things with the Mother 32s and Modular on the Spot with Rodent, Eden Gray, Cary Grace, Laurie Spiegel, sorry. A nice mix. And then I guess some of the bigger names as well. Solvent, been around a long time releasing music, Behind I Dream of Wires. And then you've got like some of the sort of YouTube guys like Tuesday Night Machines, O'Brien, and a lot of the sort of guys at that Bells and Whistles event as well. Richard Quirk, VCOADSR. I think, did Hartle, HRTL, I always say his name wrong, was he at CV Freaks?
No, actually, believe it or not, he was one of the ones I truly discovered on my little trawl, you know, whilst I was prowling about the internet. I came across him, and then I just sent him an email and said, "This is what I'm thinking of doing."
Yeah, it's a really nice mix. I think of more seasoned performers, new guys, the local UK scene, people live streaming. So, I mean, it's on Pledge Music. People can just search Modularism and check this out. I guess why vinyl?
Why vinyl?
Is a question some might be thinking about.
Do you know, I'm probably being a little bit indulgent. I have always tried on the Law and Order project to get the albums out on both vinyl and CD. I'm a bit of a vinyl junkie myself. In my spare room upstairs, 30,000. I don't know. There's more vinyl up there than I've not played half of them. You know, and I was lucky enough. You know, when you're running a label, I had other labels, suburban based. They would contact me and said, "Hi, if we send you our catalogue, will you send us yours?" And so I'd package up a load of my stuff, send it off to them. They'd send me a load. I've got bundles up there I haven't opened in 10 years. I haven't even opened it. And I love vinyl. I love handling the vinyl. I love taking it out of the sleeve. I love putting it onto the turntable. And so for me, it was a kind of a no-brainer. It's what Law and Order did. But looking at the media, I heard that the vibe was vinyl was making a resurgence. There was a resurgence in interest. The people that collected vinyl were looking for vinyl, and I thought that this project deserved to go on vinyl. I think when you've got a box set with you've got 12 sides of music, which I think we're Ben, you might be able to correct me. 4 hours of music, just under 4 hours.
Yeah, I think just under.
Yeah, just under 4 hours of music. And because I tried really hard to cover a lot of the bases, so I didn't just go for the really progressive experimental stuff. There is some more accessible stuff there. There's I tried to cover the wide spectrum, and I think that we managed to do it quite well. This is a special box, I think, and I think anyone that owns one of these, now the price that you see. How much are we talking? It's £85, I think, for 6 vinyl.
Oh, really?
It sounds like a lot of money, and I think obviously it is a lot of money. But if I was to break that down for you, because remember, guys, we're doing 500 only. You won't find 501. There's only going to be 500. And because of this kind of limited, the limited nature of this, it's really expensive to produce. And I'm not even going to embarrass myself by trying to tell you what the figures are for producing per box to Law and Order, but it's very, very, very high. And so the markup is not probably what you think it is. What I've tried to do is to make sure that, one, the mastering was done in a very, very, very considerate way, that we had really high quality masters. That was first and foremost. And I won't embarrass anyone online by talking any more about that. But the mastering was a very, very important part of what we're doing here. The discs themselves, so I'm just gonna have a look because the weight, I think the weight of the disc is on there somewhere. I can't read it because I'm...
Yeah, 180 gram.
Yeah, but yeah, it was kind of important then that they didn't give us some cheap, flimsy little thing. I wanted, and of course, the number of minutes that we could get per side, it was really important that we didn't lose any quality. The bandwidth wasn't restricted because we were trying to squeeze too much on there. So again, quality, right from the word go, because I think the quality of the music, I think, was outstanding. Well, it certainly is for me, and I hope that anyone that's had a chance to have a listen to at least the taster that I've put out. The quality of music is very high. The quality of the products that we're using to produce the box and everything about it is just the top quality, guys. We're going to number them. We're going to make sure that they number from 0 to 500. And just for anyone that wants to know this, if you were the 10th to order the vinyl, you will get number 10, and so on. If you were the 11th, etc. A similar thing's happening with the CDs, because I know not everyone's a vinyl person, so obviously it had to be available on CD as well. This is going to be a 3-box set for the CD, and again, this is going to be numbered 1 to 500, and there will be no more, guys. It's going to be as special as that, and I think that, I've certainly bought my copy. I want my copy, and I think I'm going to be very, very lucky to have it, because it's a special item. If it works, by the way, guys, if we do manage to get this into production and we do manage to put it out, my next plan is Volume 2. Volume 2. Yeah. And again, Volume 2 will be limited. Sorry, what was that, guys?
I was just going to say that it's quite good actually doing it in that kind of confined sort of methodology, because it's almost like it makes it kind of a document of the time as well. It's kind of encapsulating, this is modular right now.
Yeah.
Like a present document, as it were.
Yeah, yeah. And I was hoping that others would feel exactly as you've just said there. I think that it's almost a historic piece of work. Modular, from all of my research, is obviously clearly making this resurgence. It's more popular than ever with Eurorack, and I suppose that it's not cheap, is it, guys?
No, it's not. Modular's not cheap. There's no cheap way of doing it, despite what anyone's going to tell you. It just doesn't have the economy of scale that, say, guitar pedals do or other bits of music gear. I was just going to say, for those that want to check it out and actually interact, there's some of the artists and a thread from Phil on Muffwiggler. Again, just search Modularism, and there's the preview on there as well to check out all the tracks. That's certainly how I felt about the project, was that it's just as Matthew said, it's a real look at this is what's going on. And I like that it's not just males on there. There's female artists on there as well. There's artists around the globe. There's real seasoned veterans that have either been using Modular for a long time or have got into it recently. There's all the sort of new guys that are really capitalizing on like Facebook live streaming, and some of the YouTubers and things as well, like Tuesday Night Machines. I think it's a really nice look at this is where Modular is this year, and well, this few years, if you like. That's the strength, I think, of the project. It pulls all that together.
I'm rather hoping that this is a success and that I am able to do the next one. And I don't know whether or not the next one's going to be quite 6 sides of vinyl, probably not quite so ambitious. But I rather like the idea. I noticed on Muffwiggler there was a comment. There was a write-up where the collection was defined as the definitive box set, or I can't remember the exact words. Ben, do you remember the words?
I don't quite remember that. I think that was Molten Modular to shout Robin Vincent out.
Yes, Robin. Yes.
Sure, he said that. He very much worded it the same way. A sort of definitive look at what Modular is now.
But someone picked up. They said, "How can it be definitive if it doesn't contain this artist and this artist and this artist?" And I totally agree. I absolutely agree. Hello?
You always miss someone. You know, like everyone's tastes are so varied, so you can't. You know, it would be 100 album box set if you were going to try.
Yeah, too big to get everybody.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. But there's volume 2. And possibly, if it works, a volume 3. Because what I'd like to do is, I do appreciate and that there are a lot of people doing really, really good quality stuff out there. And the more I listen, the more I have to hold my head and think, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'd love an opportunity to make a volume 2 and then a volume 3. And then hopefully, if we're lucky enough one day to be able to sit back and look at a collection of 10 of these things, they cover a really amazing selection of the people who are doing it right now. And it becomes a special piece in someone's collection, I hope.
Sorry, Ben, go on.
I'm literally just going to say that. I think exactly that. That's why we're here. I mean, there's some bias in that I have a track on there and people might have seen that. So if people are wanting to comment saying, well, you're going to big yourself up, forget that I'm on there. There is loads of good stuff. And that's, I was just going to mirror what had been said. That I love that it's this vast window of looking into the scene. And the idea that even if that sort of vastness closes in slightly in future releases, that it keeps going. And keeps representing what's happening, because it is emerging, and I don't think we're at the peak of the modular bubble yet. It's not as much as we think it has. People within the modular scene, it hasn't penetrated that wide yet.
I can vouch for that, Ben. For the plain and simple fact that my track on there, I always try and get one piece in. You know, the original idea of starting Law and Order was as a vehicle for my own work, but I can honestly tell you, once I'd started doing it and I listened to the music of the other guys, I just thought, my humble pieces didn't seem to have a place, couldn't seem to earn its place on the collection. But yeah, the piece that I did it up at Ed's place. I went and visited Bovaflux, and Ed sat with me and diligently held my hand. Or no, he held the patch cords and and held my hands, and we showed me where to plug it. No, beg pardon, Ed helped me to create my piece. Now, what this means is I don't actually have my own rack. I don't have one. And my plan is talking to you guys, getting on Muffwiggler, is to find out, what do I need? I've got this kind of apprehension. My missus is not in the room at the moment, thank goodness. I don't want her to hear me saying this, because she's going to say to me, what's happened to all that MIDI stuff that you got upstairs? Because I've got a room full of this stuff which I have no interest in anymore. And I just want to get my hand on some modular gear, but I want to do it in the right way. I want the right bits. Yeah. I think the budget's going to be very limited, so I'm going to have to be really sensible about what I'm doing. So I haven't started yet.
Yeah, in fact, actually having a tight and restricted budget is a good thing. I think that's a positive and not a negative. An open checkbook only gets you a large collection of modules. Now, that may seem like, well, what's wrong with that? But that can be the killer. It can actually put you off completely. You just become snowblind with options, where as a restricted budget will give you something that you can completely know inside out. And then from that you go, right, I can see why maybe expanding into this may be a good idea. And again, because the very nature of it is modular, you bought a filter, you don't like it, swap it out. You don't have to swap your entire keyboard, which you would have done with sort of things in the MIDI days,
Yeah.
I tell you what, Matt, with regard to more experimental music, I knew that I was kind of hooked into all of that when, as a youngster, you're tuning a transistor radio, and you go between the channels and it makes all the and all the weird noises.
Yeah.
I was more interested in the weird noises in between the in between the channels than I was, tuning it in, and so there was always going to be a problem there, wasn't there?
That's quite bizarre, because I'd say that was probably my first electronic experience. Was as a kid, we used to have an old valve radio in the kitchen, and I could just about reach the knobs of it at a certain age. And they had all these great words like Luxembourg and things like this on the dial, on the shortwave dial. And I just used to head against the speaker and just turn the dial before mum came in and said, "Stop playing around with the radio." So yeah, that was my first experience.
Going back to the field kit, it's nice to do that. This thing, look at getting one of these, because you can send CV. This has an FM AM radio in it. You can send CV in and just get all those scanning between them, sample it, and send it.
What is that? What is it? What is the box?
It's Comet Electronic Field Kit. There was a Kickstarter for it a while ago.
We've all just
it's a nice little box for experimental stuff.
Yeah, it's been designed. It's basically, I think the whole kind of design ethos of it has come from like the whole music concrete kind of background. So it's got a shortwave and FM AM radio on it. You've got filtering options as a mixer, but it comes with a bunch of other things like contact mics, etc. So you can put all this into this device, have CV control over it. So you can attach anything in the real world and hit things, and then process it through this device.
Much to my girlfriend and friends' girlfriend looking at me like I'm super weird. Last night when some friends were around, we had a drum beat playing through YouTube on my phone plugged into the input of this thing. I was then envelope following it to trigger the little solenoid, which is almost like a little hammer action motor. That was pinging the side of a cup of tea, and I dropped a hydrophone in the cup of tea. And the hydrophone was coming back into the field kit. I was just in my element. It's just amazing fun to play with sound that way.
Hello? Have I lost? Oh,
I think we're going at the same time.
Right.
But yeah, this is a great device for interfacing real world and a lot of experimental music, or even generating Foley sounds for picture or just sample material. Works with your rack or not, works standalone.
Works best with a nice effects chain at the end of it, because you've got your aux out. You have a nice little effects chain. It's really, really nice.
My biggest nightmare just now is whenever someone posts on one of the Facebook pages, on the Modular pages, some bit of kit, I think, don't look. I can't look at it. I'm just going, don't look. I'm trying. I'm going to do a big sit down with some of you guys before I start, just to kind of stay a little bit focused, because
like back to the restricted budget, I like working with people like that. I think it's a really good idea. Just having, And it could be the restricted budget for now. It doesn't mean that you're never ever going to spend any money again on it. I just think rather than having an open checkbook,
you could save my marriage, Matt.
Yeah,
You don't know.
We offer synth marriage counselling as a side option.
That's something that we spoke about a lot between me, Matthew, and Greg. That even with the big system that we've all, the three of us have behind us, you know, deep into modular synthesis, this idea of forcing restrictions in a tiny little case or just a single row, or this is how we started this concept of a 3-module challenge last year that really blew up really well. It's certainly something we'll be revisiting, to just use 3 modules to make sound. So you really had to sort of break it down to, well, I need a sound source, whether that's a sampler or an oscillator or something to make sound, something to modulate it, to create signals to make things move, and then something to affect that static sound. Everyone went about it different ways. It sort of really blew up online. And it's amazing to see. I very much mirror that that's the right way to go. I mean, if you've got Ed to go around and play on things with, it's perfect. It's the best way to do it. I'm being at the events. We're very much rubbing my own back at this point. Matthew and Greg alike for the events we do. It's the best way to do it, to get there, try stuff. There's a lot of variety now.
It was interesting, Ben, to hear back from a lot of the artists. When I contacted them and said, look, I'm doing the project, it's called Modularism, and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I got a lot of inquiries back. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? What if something in the piece isn't modular? Does absolutely everything that appears on each track have to come from a modular source? And at first it was really difficult for me. I sat there thinking, oh, I hadn't thought this one out properly. I mean, what would I say? But in the end, I just got back to people and said, well, look, for me, modular is at the heart of the piece. So if, I mean, there were some people that use kind of processed guitar sounds and stuff like this. And I got a question, is that okay? Is that cool? Yeah. But just to answer the heart of the piece, yeah, but it was a big question. A lot of people came back to me and said, well, how sort of pedantic are you being about modular? You know, could I? Yeah, well, I did allow a certain amount of flexibility.
I'd say so. I think that's the beauty of it as well, all the things it interfaces with. I mean, there's not pop tunes, but there's more structured sort of pop style arrangement with vocals on a couple of the tracks. Some of it's very ambient, some of it's really experimental, some of it sounds like an external drum machine and modular, or heavy Roland TR style modular drums, whether that's an original machine or a clone or modules. But it does sort of encapsulate all that is modular.
Yeah. I think the lines are blurred all the time, because even with something as simple as what we did, the 3-module challenge, when we were asked what was allowed and what wasn't, it was kind of hard to pick what wasn't allowed, even within just having 3 modules, because some modules are complete voices, some are samplers, some will do different things. But even for us trying to decide within 3 modules what was allowed and what wasn't, it was kind of a little bit hazy trying to decide.
Those for that. Go on, Matthew.
I didn't say anything.
No, that was me, Ben. I was just going to ask, Ben, your piece, the critters, that was out of the 3. That was the same challenge, was it not?
Yeah, I think, and it really, more than using all of this stuff, that still really excites me, this idea of restrictions. I think there's a potential album in it, and I've been working on a few tracks since. So I should thank you for that, encouraging me to actually put an actual track down, formally, as it were. Straight away, it formed a second track, which you're going to use as a bonus as well. Without rubbing my own back too much, yeah, just that restricted idea. It forces, it helps push past any sort of writer's block. I mean, I don't think I've ever really had that with Modular anyway. Like I would sat having a production deadline and I'm just at a laptop thinking I've got to get some, you know, I need 5 tracks done by tomorrow. Modular seems to push way past that in terms of the initial spark and creativity of it all. Going to what you said, Greg, I was just going to say, if anyone had a Mother 32 from Moog, which will go in your rack, you could have done a 1 module challenge with that. Sequencer built in, oscillator built in, whole synth voice. But I think, yeah, to restrict yourself to just Modular, to go back to that, you are missing a potential world of sound and effects. Guitar pedals, I think, is my thing with Sims. And cheap as well. If you want a reverb for under £100, there's some great effects pedals. The Modular world's just not big enough for that really to be the case at the minute.
But aren't there so many? I mean, this is my more of my little discovery. I mean, there are just so many creators of Modular modules now, aren't there? I mean, there are hundreds of these small micro industries doing this. Am I not right?
Yeah, you can go on Modular Grid and just have a look at the list of the manufacturers that are on there. It's just, exponentially every year. It's just more and more and more.
Even for people. Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
I heard 300 manufacturers of Modular the other day. I don't think there's 300 on Modular Grid, and they've tightened up their submission. If you're a new company with just 1 module, I don't think they'll give you a sort of manufacturer slot quite so early. Because you know,
as an overview, if you look at that, it's kind of like, you know, and to say the 3 of us have got our heads in the scene all the time. Like when we went to when we just come back from Superbooth in Berlin, there were people there that we were like, who are these guys?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I don't mean we said we know everything or anything like that, but it's just I like that we're in an industry, we're in a scene that is constantly surprising.
So can I just ask to Matt and Greg? I mean, how long have you guys actually been in it, deep in it?
Do you want to go first, Matthew?
Well, I've been in it. I'm an older scene guy, really. I got into it. I bought my first Modular in 1998.
So a couple of years or so after Dofer originated.
Yeah, there were only really kind of 2 companies that were doing it, and I bought a Dofer system. I just sold my house, so I had a passion out. So I went out and bought a Dofer system. Yes, I've been into that side of it for a long time. Right. There was this sort of no man's land for a while, and then all of a sudden it just kind of started to trickle in more and more manufacturers, and then just went boom, you know. So from having a choice of 2 effectively in Europe, and then it's just gone to over to 300, as Ben's just said.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I got into it around, I think, 2 months after you, Ben.
We were pushing each other, weren't we? We were playing bad peer pressure. Back and forth at the time.
Yeah, we kind of got into it. Both of us were kind of making electronic music at the time, and we knew each other through that, through SoundCloud and Twitter and online, just making electronic music. So we were kind of pushing each other, and in around the same time, myself and Ben bought our first modules. Remember us having really basic conversations about, oh, you're going to need a VCA. Yeah, it's like when you look back at that now.
We also, I like that we've sort of stumbled onto the sort of origins and getting started point. I mean, people message me privately a lot with the video stuff, and same for the Modular podcast things, the 3 of us as well. I think a lot of people kind of want to stay offline to some extent with their questions at the start. I think I did everything as stupid or more so than I've seen anyone else do.
Oh, yeah.
And the scene's amazing for supporting mistakes. I know people that have plugged things in wrong and they've blown a couple of components and a manufacturer will fix it for free and send it back, or in some cases just send them another one and just go, look, a few people have blown these before, plugging them in wrong. I should have protected the power on the back, have another one. no idea where that would happen elsewhere. It'd be a case of sending it back, waiting ages for it to be fixed. So yeah, just anyone wanting to get into it, I'd tread a similar, well, not start a rival 6 vinyl box set, but tread a similar line to you, Phil, in that just going to the events and chatting to people and trying to try things. And the scene's amazing for that. It still constantly sort of amazes me. I think that's the most addictive thing about it, really.
Many years is it for us now, Ben? 4
or 5 years, maybe. I think.
Just to show how far it's come, I remember buying my first modules, and I remember going on to Schneider's and not being able to buy any kind of analog VCO. They just hadn't got an analog oscillator in stock, of any kind. So that's how far it's come since then.
You know, I think modular for me is, well, it's turned out to be quite a significant thing in my little existence, because one of the reasons, another of the reasons, I said that we were selling less and less and less and less albums, and then it got to the point where it just wasn't viable. But I think for me there was also another problem. I used to receive through the door, on average, 2-3 cassettes a day, or CDRs, with music from people from all over the place. And I genuinely used to respond to every single one. I would listen to it, and if it wasn't for me, I don't think I was ever scathing about something, even if I really disliked it. I'd just try and give a few little comments. I'd say, yeah, I really loved the blah blah. I didn't like the intro much. I'm not a big fan of strings, you know, and there was a lot of strings in there. I'd give a little bit of feedback on almost every track. But the problem that started happening for me was everyone began using PCs and computers. So my little studio upstairs is all old MIDI stuff. So I've got tons of rack, you know, mounted stuff. But everyone started using these computer, and the sounds, I just started hearing all the same sounds. And it didn't matter what the composition was. I just sat there and the sounds just sounded, and it just got to a point where I didn't even know what I was listening to anymore, you know. And I remember I used to spend like a whole afternoon trying to work out a very simple part of a track, and I've got young men now that will do it in 30 seconds. They just go on their computer, they go, blah, 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 it's done. I resented that. I just thought, I don't see where the craft is anymore, and I started to lose heart. So I think you lost a sense of the craft. There's certainly the sounds that I was hearing was all the same sounds, and they'd all gone into Fruity Loops. They'd all used Drum Kit 1 or whatever, and everything just sounded exactly the same to me. I just didn't want to hear it anymore. And what with all the diminishing sales and stuff like that, I just thought, okay, that's it. I've had enough, and I just pulled away. And so to come up to Bells and Whistles or down to CV Freaks or any of the meets, and to do you know what it was? I'm gonna pick out Chelsea's set, because she was doing a very abstract set up at Bells and Whistles. It was quite a progressive, very abstract set that she was doing. But she did something crazy at the low end. She was toggling that filter, and she was doing something kind of crazy down the bottom end. I then looked at the sound system that you guys had there, the speakers, and I thought that there was some incredible stack. And when I looked at it, it was quite a simple, it was on a stand, but the sound was so good. I think Richard, was it Richard Quirk? I remember asking Richard, why does it sound so good? And you know, I think he I don't know how he picked the PA. Is there anything special about the PA that was used at this?
That was Phil, Blue Wolf 7, that brought the system down. I mean, he's absolutely super sound guy. Phil's ear is astonishing. I mean, he's out doing live sound and has for a long time. Ran studios.
Brilliant, Ben. It was brilliant. I heard this. I thought, what? And then, of course, Chelsea was doing something with her set where she was really messing around down that bottom end, the bass end of it. It was awesome. I just sat there and I thought, there was no bounds to the sound. The sound was just, and I just thought, my God, I'm actually hearing sounds that I like again. And I just left there mesmerized. I was completely gobsmacked. I don't even know what I was expecting, to be perfectly honest. I'd gone up there with Ed, not knowing what to, and I was truly taken aback. I heard 4 different sets while I was there. I think I missed one, the first one. And all of them were different. They were all completely different. The styles were different, and yet the use of these things is awesome. So here I am trying to sell a six vinyl box set. It's all your fault. It's all your fault.
It's a nice sort of way to round up. I mean, the Leeds event that we do is in a central location. And it's in quite a sort of popular bar in Leeds, if you like, and we take the floor above, and it's amazing to see groups of girls that are just like, what's that weird sound? Because you have to come up to the toilets in the Belgrave where we do the event, so people must be coming up to go to the toilets and thinking, what's this? And just to see those faces walk in, and plenty turn away, don't get me wrong, not everybody's entranced and pulled into this room, but plenty do stay, and it's great when maybe the sort of girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever it is sort of, you can tell they kind of want to hang around, and they'll sort of go, you go back down, I'll sort of catch you up. And you get these people wandering through the room. Just, it amazes me to wonder what's in their mind as they're doing it. It's weird. It does pull people in. Like I said, not everyone stays.
Guys, can I just mention that the project, how many days? I think we've got 88 days left to raise I think we need to sell approximately 250 vinyl to make it viable. I think once we get to about 250 vinyl, it's an all systems go kind of thing, and we kick into production. But when we get to that point, I'm gonna be desperate to try and do a launch for this. So I want everyone to sort of like get ready for another extravaganza. In days of old, I would take the Powerhouse in Finsbury Park, or the ICA, or the Blue Note in Hoxton, as it was, and I'd always do a massive launch and try and get as many of the artists that are on the project to come and do PAs, and we'd have people upstairs and people in the corridor and people downstairs and stuff like this. I think, again, I'm being really stupid, and we might as well be ambitious. I would love it if this thing got off the ground and we were able to do a kind of a live event to kind of really launch it. And again, we've got 37 artists, you know, so modulars on the project, and I'd just like to get as many of them over. And yeah, but how realistic that will be, I don't know. But yeah,
well,
so
there's plenty there in the UK, not to exclude anyone outside, of course, but there's plenty there that even if we're all only a couple of hours away, you could have one hell of a night. If you pull that crowd, never mind fly everyone in as well. But yeah, great. So we should end sort of more officially on this. It's on Pledge Music. Google Modularism, it comes up anywhere. There's the Muff Wiggler thread. There's slip mats, CDs, downloads. We're just here really if people are thinking this is a bit sales pitchy, just to push the idea. You know, it's something that we're all into, and we kind of want to make everyone aware of it. I love the idea of this going forward, and it's this scene that we're all involved with. It's great. So, yeah, I guess any sort of closing messages from anyone?
I tell you what, I love being the sort of like the knowledgeless infiltrator. I wander around scratching my head going, guys, what's that? What's that? And but for me, I love it. I'm learning so much. I knew nothing last November, December, when I came up to Bells and Whistle. I knew nothing about VCAs, VCOs, the modular. What was Eurorack? I didn't even know. I'd heard of modular, but I certainly never heard the term Eurorack before then. So for me, it's just been exactly as it said on the blurb that you read there. It has been a journey of discovery. I am still discovering every day. I will be twiddling my knobs and and creating patches soon, but it will be restricted.
So, we should give another shout as Richard Quirk's on this release. Any idea, Matthew, when that release is coming? The bug brand focused release?
No, we've just been bouncing tracks across to each other. It's a preliminary stage, but we've kind of, well, I've submitted like about 3 different recordings, and we're going to kind of combine them together. But we just wanted to do something that was entirely on the bug brand system made by Tom Bugs.
Yeah. Patches to come from you, Greg, the poster boy for Qubit.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a massive Qubit patch. We've got some stuff coming up with the Qubit contour. So I already have something patched up. This is it patched up behind me.
Right.
And that's gonna be one of my patches.
Yeah. And I guess shout stuff from me to end on just quickly. I should shout out the packaging on this. I know we're obviously obsessed with the sound and touching stuff. Control Forge from Rossum, who gave us a great demo at Superboot. But I like cut foam, as sad as that sounds. So for them to cut foam from the packaging, I'm going to be playing around with a Control Forge for some crazy modulation, satellite, some stuff for the bug brand PT delay coming, new module from Erica Synths. Video will probably be online by the time this is. So yeah, plenty going on. All the links in the description for the modularism stuff, all the stuff we're doing. And cheers for coming on, Phil, and telling us about it.
Cheers, Phil.
Right.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Okay, see ya.